So this Tellervo tutorial is going to show you how to get started with Tellervo, how to install the desktop application and how to configure it using the setup wizard. So the first thing you need to do, of course, is to get access to the package. So if you go to the tellervo.org website and then go to the download tab, this will give you all the different options for downloading Tellervo. Now Tellervo comes in two packages. It comes with a desktop client, which is the program you actually use on your computer. There's also a server component as well. So for the desktop to be useful, for the actual program to be useful, you need access to a Tellervo server. Hopefully there'll be one set up in your lab. If not, you're going to need to go ahead and stop this tutorial now and then move over and have a look at the installing Tellervo server tutorial, and then you can come back to this desktop tutorial after that. So as you'll see, on the left hand side here we have all the different packages for the Tellervo desktop. There's packages available for Windows, Mac and Linux. At the top of the page it should give you the most appropriate download for your operating system. One thing to note though for Windows users is that there are two different types of Windows being released at the moment. There's the 32-bit and the 64-bit. And unfortunately there's no way for the website to know which type of Windows you're using. So if you know that you're using a 64-bit version, make sure you pick the 64-bit package. Otherwise things like the 3D mapping and the ability to talk to measuring platforms won't work on your computer. So I'm going to go ahead and download the 32-bit Windows package. Okay, so we can go ahead and install this now. It's just a standard installer, as I'm sure you're familiar with. And that's it. So the first time you run Tellervo, the program will bring up the setup wizard to help you configure your system ready for use. So the first question it asks is how you're connecting to the internet. For the vast majority of you can just leave this on the system defaults. But if you're having problems and you know you're behind a proxy server, you can enter your information here. This is sort of information you only need to get from your systems administrator. I can just continue though with the defaults. Now the next thing is to specify the URL of your Tellervo server. Now I'm going to configure here the Cornell server. And we can use the test button to check that we haven't made any typos. So that's connected correctly. So we can now move on to the next step. So the next step is setting up your measuring platform, if you have one attached to your computer, which I do on this machine. So I'm going to click yes and next. And you then need to go ahead and choose the type of platform you're using. So we have a number of platforms configured within Tellervo. If you don't see your particular platform listed here, it means we haven't yet got support for it within the software. But the architecture of Tellervo is very modular, so it means that adding support for additional platforms is extremely simple. So if you just get in contact with us, and we'll just need a few bits of information, and we can go ahead and add support. We're hoping to expand this to a very long list in the future. The platform I have attached to this machine is the lintab. So there's something to note for the lintab platforms. The standard lintab platform uses a proprietary protocol for communicating between the platform and the computer, and the makers of this platform, Rintech, have asked us not to make public the information about this protocol. So because we're an open source software, that causes a few issues. The compromise we've come up with Rintech is that they are creating what they call an ASCII adapter. So it's changing the protocol that it uses to something which is much clearer, and which they are happy for us to to have open source. So this does mean that you will need to contact Rintech and purchase an ASCII adapter if you want to use your existing Lintab platform. But this is something they can do, and it's also, if you're planning on buying a Lintab platform, something you should talk to Rintech about. So the next thing to do is to choose the serial port to which this platform is connected, and that's COM5 in this case. So you'll notice the rest of these settings are greyed out; they're disabled. For Lintab, that's because they are not configurable. Lintab has static settings for these. If, for instance, you were using something like the Metronics QuadraCheck, these are configurable within the box itself. So you just need to make sure that these settings are the same in Tellervo as they are on the actual box. So once you've set your values correctly, you can then go ahead and do next, and it will bring up a test screen. Why am I so... So the next step is to set up your measuring platform if you have one attached to your computer, which I do in this case. So the first thing we need to do on this page is to set the type of measuring platform that we are using. You'll see we have a list of different types that are supported. We're hoping to expand on this list in the near future. So if you don't see your platform listed here, please get in contact with us. The way that we've set up the architecture of the software, that means that adding additional platforms is very simple. So hopefully, if you get in contact, we just need a few pieces of information about the hardware, and we should be able to get that set up for you very easily. In this case, I have the EVE.io attached to this computer. This is a box specifically designed for the Cornell lab. We then choose the COM port which the platform is attached to, and you'll notice the rest of these settings are all greyed out, and that's because these are all set specifically for this particular platform. If you were to be using something like the Metronics, for instance, you'll notice these are actually enabled, and that's because the Metronics box can have these configured within the hardware itself. So you just need to make sure the hardware and the software settings are the same. So if we go back to the EVE.io, we'll go ahead and click next, and then we can then test the communications itself. So as you can see, the data has come in successfully off the platform. A couple of other tabs here to show you. There's a capabilities tab which shows you the capabilities of the hardware that you're talking to, and there's also a communications log. So if you are having problems communicating with your platform, this communications log can be very helpful for us. So if you can copy and paste this into an email, that should be very useful. The actual layout of this screen will change depending on the capabilities of your platform. So what I'm going to do now is connect to a different computer with a Lintab platform. So this is the Tellervo setup wizard running on a Linux machine. As you can see, it looks very similar. I'll go ahead and fill in the details as before. So back to the measuring platform screen now. So as I said, this machine has got a Lintab platform attached to it, so I'll go ahead and choose Lintab. And another thing to note with the Linux machine is the ports are described differently, but hopefully, if you're using Linux or a Mac, you'll be more familiar with this anyway. And then we're going to go ahead and click next. Okay, so one thing you'll notice now using the LinTab platform is that we have a live view of the data that's coming from the platform. So instead of just receiving a measurement as a hardware button is clicked, we can see the live, the current position of the platform as we move it. So we can either use the hardware button attached to the platform itself, or we can use the record button on the screen, because again, the LinTab, like the Metronics boxes, can accept requests for information. So we can send a request from the Tellervo software to the platform to make a measurement. And similarly, we can also use the 0 button to reset the value as well. Okay, so once you're happy with your platform's working, the other thing to bear in mind is to make sure that these values are in the correct units as well. So again, with the platform, with the Tellervo software, it should know exactly what the values coming off the machine should be. So we're not just trying to take raw numbers, and have them as raw data. We're trying to actually have meaning with that data. So we need to know exactly what that measurement means, so that we can compare it with other data sets. So the best thing to do is to go ahead and measure with your platform, a known length. So perhaps a centimeter on a ruler, and make sure that the micron values coming in off the machine are actually correct, to make sure that we've got the values correct. So once you are actually happy with the values coming off, you can go ahead and click next, and that completes the setup wizard. So we can just do finish, and that'll go ahead and bring up the authentication box. So this is now logging you into the server that you requested in the setup wizard. So I'm going to go ahead and log in. And there we are, we logged into the main Tellervo screen. Okay, so I'd suggest you now have a quick look through some of the other tutorials on the Tellervo website. That should hopefully give you an idea of how to go ahead and use the software itself, how to make measurements, how to import and export data, how to enter your metadata information, and all the other similar features within the software. But if you have any questions, please just get in contact, and I'll do my best to help you out.